Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Gillie Jones. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm great. I'm doing awesome.
Oh, this is such an honor to have you here. For those of you that don't know Gillie yet, she's an actor, producer, writer. She does have the Curse of La Patasola, which is streaming now. I have the links down here in the description, so make sure you're checking that out. As well as other titles like Welcome to Flatch, which will be premiering on Fox in March, and then Bolden. So before we go any further, not only is the Curse of La Patasola streaming right now, you guys can see that right here in the description. Also, Welcome to Flatch coming to Fox. That's huge. Congratulations. That is so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually booked that. I had blocked out with my agent all through filming The Curse of La Patasola. And my first audition when I got back was for Welcome to Flatch. I'm in episode 4 and I booked it. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, let's do this thing.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you.
It's my first network television credit, and I'm in episode 4. It's called Naked Lady Day, and I play the naked lady. So I'm like, now don't get too excited because I don't show anything, but it's like it's hilarious, and it was a really fun group of people like to shoot with. So I'm excited for it to come out.
Way to build me up and break me right back down.
Well, it is network television. Like they are pretty strict on there.
Right. But no, that's really cool. Like, I'm so happy for you. Like you said, doing indie film is fucking awesome. Like, it's so amazing. And indie film, especially during the pandemic, which it's still ongoing. Please don't think I'm saying the pandemic's over. But during this pandemic, we've realized how important indie filmmakers and indie actors and directors and how important you all are to us because of your hard work. We've been able to continue to stream and watch films and, not go fucking crazy. So, the hard work that you guys do, but then landing a network gig like that is so awesome. Like, that's like, I can't explain how proud of you I am. Like, that is such an amazing thing to hear. And to me, I just look at it as like, every time you throw a skipping rock into a river, you got to have the first bounce. And I really feel this is your first bounce to let it keep skipping, But I mean, like, not just that, you also upcoming have Peekaboo, Curiosity, the Mystery Gang. So it's not like you're just content with one thing. You are a very, very, very busy person.
Well, that's the great thing. As an actress, when you write and produce, you are able to create your own content and and also work on great sets. Like my husband and I own our production company together, Renegade Creative. We have one film that we were developing like between the two of us that we're really excited about called Buried Blood. We just got sent another one by a production company that I can't share too much about, but like might be filming in this summer. I have another one in development called Unicorn with the co-writer of Patasola. So like there's so many different opportunities when you're creating your own content. And as an actor, you have to wait for other people to tell you like, okay, go do your art. And I was like, I'm not going to sit back and wait for someone else to tell me that I can do my own art. So while you're waiting on those, union network shows, I get to be over here making my own stuff as well.
And that's the pride that comes with that. Being a writer and having this come from your mind to your heart, to your fingers, to the paper, and then watching it play out in front of you. Like, that's so amazing. And the fact that, because with Sledgehammer Horror, my wife and I, like every piece of content we do on here, except for my first horror movie, we do together. So I understand, like, working with your best friend.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, your best friend. Like, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yes. Like, and that's the cool thing. Like, not only do I share my life with you, but now this business and this thing that we're creating is together. Like, oh, you're with your wife all the time. Well, when I put a ring on her finger, I kind of decided that's what I wanted to do. She's my best friend. That's who I want to spend all my time with. So that's really cool that you and her husband are able to hit the ground running with that and, work together and be productive on that. That's so cool. Like, you don't get to hear a lot of that anymore. Usually it's, you're pulled between, this is mine, this is yours. We're not a team, where it's our individual and the only thing we share is a bedroom.
Yeah, I think people shy away from working with their significant others because you're told like so much that, oh, don't do that. Like it's really
Mhm.
bad. But, I think like 2 or 3 months into dating, we were about to open a business together. And I asked him, I was like, I feel like this is like what everyone tells you not to do. And he was like, yeah, but I want to be with a woman that I can take over the world with. And I never
Right.
forgot that. And it's, and going into business, which I'm sure you understand is like a marriage in and of itself.
Mhm.
So if you go into business with someone that you can also have a successful marriage with, you're just going to have all around success.
And it worked, like me and Ashley have been together since high school. Like we were high school sweethearts. We've been together 17 years. So it's
That's
one of those
awesome.
things where, it was that's the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Our first date was to go see War of the Worlds. Like that's what we built our relationship on, was our mutual love of sci-fi and horror. So
Yeah.
this really came pretty natural when it came to something like that. So when I can hear about other people that are, fulfilling the dream of not only being, you have one person for you, and out of this huge planet of billions of people, you found that one. And not only that, but the dream to push a business together is so cool. And it's just dope to me to hear somebody else finding that happiness. And I wish that for everybody. Like that's something that, we talk about horror, and something I've been very vocal about for a very long time. Horror is about love. Like the whole genre itself is so loving and so kind. Sure, we want to see you get your eyes ripped out, but we love you as it's happening. So the horror community is the best in the world. It is. Everybody is so kind and respectful, and they want what's best for you, and they are rooting for you all the time. So it's amazing to hear that you're doing so well and you're so successful right now. And
Thank you.
I know I already said the Curse of La Patasola is down here in the description, but also so is all of Gillie's social media links. So you can follow her and everything that she's going to be working on here in the future. You don't have to wait for me to update you. You can get the info right from the horse's mouth, right down here in the description. Now, we know what you got going on in the future with Peekaboo, Welcome to Flatch, Curiosity. We know what's going on right now, the Curse of La Patasola, which is down here in the description. But I want to go back to the past, Gillie, and I want to talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your
Yes.
first movie. And Gillie, your first horror movie was
The Ring. And not by choice, by the way. I have a funny story.
yeah. And before you tell that story, I want everybody to remember, if you've watched me at all, you know that I feel this way. One of the scariest movies of all time is The Ring. And this movie's PG-13. This movie shows you don't have to have an R rating to truly scare someone to the bone. So now I am very interested in this funny story you have for me.
So I was in 8th grade going on a field trip.
Mhm.
It was an overnight field trip to Williamsburg, and they were like, "Hey, bus of middle school kids, do you want to watch The Ring or this other non-scary movie?" And I'd never seen it. I didn't watch horror, like scared girl, couldn't even go through a haunted house at the time. Of course, majority wins, and they pick The Ring. It starts thunderstorming as they start the movie. So I'm on this bus. There is no like not watching it because there's TVs in every row of this bus. It's
Oh.
thunderstorming. So by no choice of my own, The Ring comes on. And like, yes, it is terrifying AF, but also like is such a good story.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like I didn't know before that you could have horror that was also a really well told story. And so that blew my mind. And I will say that I tend to lean more towards like vibing with horror that is a good storyline versus something that's just going to terrify you. So like The Grudge, when The Grudge came out, I feel like that was terrifying, but I did not enjoy the story as much as The Ring. Um,
The Ring really is like a drama
yeah,
wrapped up in a horror movie. Like you have the drama of I need to save my son.
yes. And then, like, once we got to the hotel, of course, there was like a mirror at the foot of the bed. So, like, you're trying to sleep, and there's just like a mirror there. And then one of the girls on the trip had hair down to her butt. So she, of course, played a joke and like knocked on our door. She had just showered. She had the hair over her, and like nightmare. Like, Who was the guardian person that decided it was a good idea for 8th graders to watch The Ring?
Right. Whoever it was.
But it started my journey.
I want to shake their hand because you're doing it right. God damn it. So thank you for what you did. And again, and I've said this for a very long time. The Ring is one of these movies that stays with you. Yeah. And, you know, we grew up, I'm a bit older than you are, but we grew up in an era where landlines were common. And that might be towards the end of your, you know, right at the end of your era. But
yeah, no, we had landlines for a minute.
Yeah, you know, like I remember after that movie, you know, calling our friends like 7 days and hanging up, you know, like this movie started like that was our own little like, I don't know, like TikTok or Vine back in the day. It was calling your friend and doing that, you know. So this movie definitely had a huge impact on me as well. So I'm always happy to talk about it. Now, do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
Yeah. So do you remember when they're searching for the little girl, and so they go into the well and they find her body? Mm-hmm. And that's when you kind of realize like the start of why that, I don't know if the right word is like creature or girl, but she becomes that monster of what she is because of what was done to her. And mm-hmm. It was terrifying because the body pops up and you find the nails stuck in the wall and realize what happened to that little girl. And so it was a very terrifying scene, but then also humanizing at the same time of like, oh, this is where the monster came from because someone was a monster to her.
Right.
And blew my mind.
What I love about this movie, and especially with that scene that you're talking about right there, that a lot of people forget. This was a great twist to the end of this movie because at this point you think the curse is done. Yes. You know, they found the girl and she holds her and she goes back to her son and she's like, don't worry, we set her free. And he's like, you let her out. You weren't supposed to let her out, Rachel. She never sleeps. And then his nose starts bleeding and you're like, what? No.
I know.
I thought it was done.
Terrifying.
Like, yeah, for sure. And you're right. Like in this moment, you have that real genuine sadness and genuine heartbreak of the reason you have 7 days is that's how long she was stuck down in this well, hungry, thirsty, cold, looking up and seeing the light of the ring around the well. Like that's fucking heartbreaking. You know, and like I said, I'm a parent now too. So how could you do that? And I get it wasn't their kid. It's a child.
But still it's a child, like 100%.
Yeah. So this is a movie that is very iconic. And I think that the longer it's gone, the more iconic it is. Maybe it doesn't stand up as well today because obviously, like we talked a little bit ago, the landline thing doesn't really go through anymore. And, you know, watching a deadly VHS tape, you know, what the hell's a VHS tape? You know, like if this is a phone, it's broken. So like maybe that part doesn't hold up as well today. But I feel like the genuine fear and terror you get from this movie does. So when you think about The Ring, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
The girl's dark hair climbing out of the television. That is like terrifying.
Nightmare fuel.
And here's the thing, like that's still something that I think everyone can relate to because they're so on like things coming out of your screen is terrifying. So like that's still something that today I think would translate and terrify people.
Well, and like I was saying, like, and I want to really, really push this home. I'm not trying to be condescending or sound like an asshole to a younger generation. That's not who I am. So by saying you don't have the landlines and you don't have VHS tapes, I'm not saying, oh, you're less than me. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. But so here's the thing. What I find scary in horrors is when it's something that could actually happen versus something imaginative. So that's where I feel like, you know, the landline stuff and the VHS, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't exist in our world today. But like, it doesn't mean you're not still going to be terrified because there is still stuff in this film that can happen.
Well, and just like the amount, even though we don't have the, you know, the VCRs and the VHS tapes or the landlines anymore, we look at more screens now than we've ever looked at.
I know.
So the thought of something coming out of your screen is still just as scary.
Yeah.
So
I
I
can't
completely
even
agree
look
with
at
that one
pictures
too.
of scary things on my phone. Like, because just seeing the visuals, like, scares me versus let alone if it comes out of the screen. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
So the Ring, we talked about which scene it was that affected you the most from this movie. And now, as a young lady, eighth grade, that's probably about 13 years old,
Yeah.
probably hard to say favorite. But did you have a favorite scene from The Ring when you had watched it?
Oh my gosh. I think I was like too scared to like have something be a favorite, if that makes sense.
No.
But like you mentioned earlier, that plot twist, brilliant, brilliant. So
Yeah.
like I like that about the storyline the most, but I was like watching it like this the whole time, like waiting for it to be over.
And I will say that this movie has one of the most, and I will stick by this till the day I die, one of the most effective jump scares in cinema history. And I did a top 10 favorite jump scares. This was on it. You have at the very beginning of the movie these two girls talking about how they watched the tape, and now the one's getting the phone call and she dies, and you never know what happened.
Yeah.
Well, then her aunt, who is Naomi Watts, Rachel, goes to the funeral, and the mother's like, I saw her face. To me, one of the most, because you don't expect it at that point. Like at the beginning, you expect it to happen, but now it's already done. It's gone. It's forgotten about in your brain. And then all of a sudden, boom, and it's got that loud, shrill noise. And one of the best jump scares of all time, hands down.
Yeah, agreed.
So another thing about this movie, there is death in this movie. There's not a lot. Death in this movie is few and far between, but it's effective. Do you remember which death it was that affected you the most from this film?
To be honest, no. But I think that thinking the little boy was gonna die is like the death that I remember.
See, and it's funny because you do have a lot of death in this movie, but usually when I talk about this, the one that gets brought up is the horse. Because you have them on the boat, and the horse gets freaked and starts running, and it jumps over and hits its legs and flips over. And you have everybody run to the back of the boat and look over, and you see the horse got taken in the propeller, and all the blood is going through the water. So, like, that's one. But for me, it will always, always be at the end when you find out that her ex-husband, that they were trying to work it out, and she goes to his house and she turns the thing, and his face it's been ringed. That's another one for me that I think is very, very effective.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just like hard to like the kid stuff is like the most. So like I don't know. It just that's like the biggest memory stuff for me is like the little girl being in the well, right? And then the little boy now is certain that it's like, okay, so she's not above going after little kids. Like there's no over 18 or like just teenagers and above, like no kind
of. It definitely would have been a whole different movie. Like, how old are you? 17? Damn, wrong number. So, Gillie, we talked about your first horror movie being The Ring and how much that affected you. But now, my little buddy Ghostface here has a question for you. Okay. What's your favorite scary movie, Gillie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Crimson Peak.
Oh, great choice.
I know. Like, and here's the thing. Again, I think it's a great, like, gothic storyline. Mm-hmm. I love how they did the ghosts in that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was so original and terrifying. Like, I love that. And then also the big in the basement, like the big vats that look like blood, but they're not, and the bodies coming up from in that, terrifying.
Oh my gosh. Like, and it's funny because I don't get to talk about Crimson Peak that much, but that's one of those movies that just like I stumbled upon one night, just hanging out, just stumbled upon it, and I could not take my eyes off it the whole time.
I know, yeah, same. So, and it's such a good setup in the beginning too, like because her mother warns her in the beginning, right? Like beware of Crimson Peak. But then you have kind of then that long setup time that you're like, okay, well, like, what is this Crimson Peak thing? And you don't even find out until like a good chunk of the way through. And she goes to the house and you're like, oh, like, oh.
She told you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, yeah.
That's so rad. So guys, the credits are about to roll. We're at the end of the third act now. So I do got to do my due diligence and remind you guys, the links are down here in the description. So make sure you're clicking those. We always end this with the same question, Gillie. We're going to go back to the ring and we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, what we're doing, we're not being critics. We're not judging it on score, acting, nothing of the sort. What we're doing now is judging this movie strictly on how much it affected you on first viewing. So I think I know the answer, but 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being very effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. What would your ranking of the ring be?
100% 5. Like, it made me like look for more horror movies to watch and actually like horror, and it opened up the door for me to actually start going to haunted houses. And by the way, I'm the weirdest person to go through a haunted house with because I giggle the entire time. Like, I laugh when I'm scared, so I'm just like cracking up in the haunted house.
Funny enough, I love horror. You know, I grew up in a video store. Horror movies are my lifeline, my blood. I fucking hate haunted houses.
What?
I cannot do it. I absolutely positive. Because when I get really like, I don't get scared. I get angry. And I'm just like, I told you not to jump at me. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk. Like,
so you're like, get away from me. Okay.
Yes. Like, I see you. Don't jump out at me. Look, we have this mutual agreement now. I've seen you. You know I've seen you. So just let me walk by. And then they jump out. I'm like, what'd I just say? I just told you we had an agreement and you broke it. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You know, like, so again, I do want to say thank you so much for coming on here and spending some time with me. This has really meant a lot to me.
It's been a blast. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So please don't go anywhere, Gillie. I have a couple more questions for you. Okay. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.